My only reward for fixing that alien ship was not money, fame, or even gratitude. It was the truth. And that truth is something I was never meant to see. Forget everything religion has told you. Forget the polished sermons and holy paintings. What I discovered is not written in any book, because it was erased, hidden, and buried for 2,000 years. I only warn you, once you hear this, you can't unhear it. It will echo in the quiet corners of your faith, whispering questions you'll wish you never asked. This story begins with Frank Morrison, 62 years old, a retired mechanic from Montana. He lived alone on a wide stretch of farmland, surrounded by silence. He wasn't a believer anymore. Life had taken that from him. The divorce, the loneliness, the endless nights asking a God who never seemed to answer. Then one stormy night, the sound came. Not thunder, not lightning, but something heavier, stranger, like the sky itself had dropped a piece of metal into the earth. Frank thought it was just a fallen tree. But when dawn came, the truth gleamed in his field like a secret waiting to be found. Through his old binoculars, he saw something smooth, metallic, curved like a drop of liquid mercury frozen mid-fall. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't anything built by human hands. And then he saw it. A figure, crouched beside the object, long-limbed and impossibly graceful, working on something that glowed faintly blue. Frank froze. His heart thudded like a drum. The creature turned, and for the first time in his life, he looked into eyes that weren't from this world. Large, black, endless. They stared at each other, man and alien, separated by 10 feet and 1,000 worlds. Then the being raised its hand, slow, open-palmed, a universal gesture. I am not a threat. Frank didn't wait. He ran. He locked himself in his house, trembling. He wanted to call someone, anyone, but what would he say? There's an alien in my field? No one would believe him. An hour later, curiosity clawed through the fear. He looked out the window again. The creature hadn't moved. It was still there, now kneeling beside the ship, slumped, helpless. Frank felt something stir. Not faith, not courage, something older. Compassion. And, against every instinct, the grass crunched under Frank's boots as he walked toward the wreck. The air around the ship shimmered faintly, like heat rising off asphalt. The metal seemed alive, shifting color as the morning light hit it. The creature raised its head. Those black eyes locked on him again, ancient and unblinking. Frank held the rifle low, but visible. "Don't move," he said, his voice cracking. Then he heard it, not with his ears, but inside his head. "I won't hurt you." Frank stumbled backward. "You're in my mind?" "It's the only way I can speak to you. I don't have vocal cords like you. I mean no harm." His breath came in short bursts. "What do you want?" "My ship, it's broken. I can't repair it alone. You understand machines. I saw your tools, your shed. You fix things. I need your help." Frank blinked. "You've been watching me?" "Only to learn. I didn't mean to crash here. The storm damaged my systems. I just need to leave." For a long moment, Frank said nothing. The logical part of him screamed to run, to call the authorities, to not get involved. But then the mechanic in him saw it. A damaged engine, a problem that needed solving. And behind those black eyes, he saw something human. Fear. He sighed. "If I help you, you'll leave." "Yes, Immediately. He hesitated, then lowered his rifle. "All right, but if you try anything, I swear, I won't." He nodded toward the field. "We'll have to hide it. My shed's big enough. No one can see it there. The ship is light. I can assist." Frank got his old pickup, hooked the winch, and began dragging the impossible craft toward the shed. To his surprise, the metallic hull barely resisted. It was like pulling smoke. Once inside, Frank closed the massive doors. The creature followed silently, standing in the dim glow of the single hanging bulb. Frank studied the ship under the flickering light. "All right, I see what kind of mess you've got here." As the being opened a side panel, the inside came alive with light, floating circuits, pulsing threads of energy that seemed to hum in rhythm. "The energy core is fractured. Without it, I'm trapped." Frank examined the glowing structure, part crystal, part machine. A fine crack ran through it like lightning frozen in glass. He smirked. "Well, I've fixed worse. Let's see what human ingenuity can do about alien tech." And so it began. Two beings from different worlds, united by one simple thing, the desire to repair what was broken.
What Frank didn't know was that by fixing this machine, he was about to unlock a truth that would repair something far more profound, the part of himself that had lost faith long ago. Screaming no, he grabbed his rifle and stepped outside. By the second day, fear gave way to curiosity. Frank found himself focused more on the repair work than the fact that a being from another world stood beside him. They worked in silence, the hum of alien energy filling the air, until Frank finally broke it. "So, where are you from anyway?" he asked, adjusting a connector that glowed like molten glass. "Your star maps call it Zeta Reticuli, about 39 of your light years away." Frank whistled low. "That's far." Distance is relative when you understand the laws beneath matter. We don't travel across space, we fold it. Frank blinked. "That shouldn't be possible." "Neither should your consciousness existing within flesh. Yet here we are." Frank chuckled, shaking his head. "All right, philosopher, you can bend space. Good for you." The alien paused, watching him. Then, as if sensing a deeper question in Frank's heart, it said, "You wonder where your God fits into all this?" Frank froze. "Excuse me?" "You've asked that question many times. If there's a God, why is my life empty? I hear it echoing in your thoughts even now." Frank set his tools down. "You can read my mind?" "Only what you project. Pain leaves a loud frequency." He turned away. "You don't know anything about God." "On the contrary," the voice inside his head softened. "We know the source you call God well. We have studied its patterns for eons." Frank laughed bitterly. "The source? You mean some kind of cosmic energy?" "Not some kind, the only kind. The same essence that gives stars their fire and gives you your soul. What your people call God isn't a man in the clouds. It is consciousness itself, the field that dreams reality into being." Frank's face hardened. "Then where does Jesus fit into your science project?" The alien's black eyes shimmered faintly. "Ah, him. You could say we observed his time here very closely." Frank frowned. "You observed Jesus?" "Yes, we recorded him. We studied the frequencies that surrounded him, the power he carried. What your world calls miracles were not magic nor divine tricks. They were the natural result of alignment with the source. He understood it fully." Frank leaned back against the workbench, his hands trembling slightly. "You're telling me Jesus was, what, some kind of cosmic scientist?" "He was a teacher, the purest we have ever witnessed. He tried to show your species that creation begins within thought, that belief reshapes matter. He called it faith. Faith? Yes, true faith is not asking, it is knowing. When he said, "Your faith has made you well," he meant it literally. He wasn't granting miracles, he was reminding humans they already carried the same power. Frank stared at the cracked crystal pulsing faintly on the table. His voice was barely a whisper. If that's true, then everything I've ever been taught was wrong. Not wrong, just incomplete. Your people built temples around his words, but forgot to live them. The creature looked at him, eyes reflecting the faint blue light of the ship. You fix broken things, Frank. So did he. For the first time, Frank couldn't speak. He just stood there, surrounded by humming alien light, trying to reconcile the impossible. An extraterrestrial being talking about Jesus, not as myth, but as memory.